Hey everybody. So we have been in Mexico for the past 3 weeks and we've loved it here. We've done lots of crazy stuff. We've learned a lot of things while being here. But we've stayed in Airbnbs while we've been here. In fact, we've stayed in Airbnbs for a lot of the time that we've been traveling full time. And so we thought today we would take a moment to talk about Airbnb. We are the Farrells. John, Sarah, Emma, Matthew, Ellie, Alyssa, and Brooke. We sold our stuff and left our home to travel and see the world. And these are our million adventures. We've stayed in Airbnbs for a lot of the time that we've been traveling full time. So we thought today we would take a moment to talk about Airbnbs. And Sarah is the master Airbnb ninja. So take it away, Sarah.
All right, we just wanted to share a few tips that we've learned along the way. We've been traveling full time for 8 months, staying in Airbnbs for a good chunk of that. And before we started traveling, we had only ever stayed in an Airbnb twice. So we've learned a lot how to save money and just have the best experience. My first tip would be to be flexible. If you can be flexible with dates, I realize sometimes you can't. But if you can, that opens up a lot of options, especially if you have your eye on a certain place. A lot of places are cheaper, say the week after school starts or the week after Christmas break or during the week versus the weekend. So if you can do that, that's a great way to save money and also get the place that you want. If you can be flexible on location, that's another great way to also save money and open up your options. We used to think that we had to stay right where we were going. Be
Not
right
true.
there. And quickly realized that our budget could not take that. It's just more expensive. What I've started doing is I'll put the location where we're going and then just pull up the map and look at all of the properties available around there. And some of our favorite places that we've stayed have been found that way, staying off the beaten path. Our coastal home in Maine, our cabin on the river in Upper Peninsula of Michigan, southern Utah. So we've gotten some really amazing places, just been a little bit off the beaten path, that have been amazing, and also some of our cheapest places that we've stayed. Okay, our second tip, to book longer stays. A lot of Airbnb hosts or owners will give discounts for week-long stays or even month-long stays if you're going to be somewhere a little longer. So we found even if we're not going to be staying somewhere a full week, if we're going to be there, say 5 or 6 days, I like to put in dates for a week just to see what discount comes up. So for example, we were looking at a place in New Mexico recently, and the price for 6 days was going to be about $700, but I went ahead and put in a week, and with the discount it brought the price down to $550 for 7 days. And we didn't end up going, so we didn't book it, but that would have been that's a great example of doing that. And then for month-long stays, I've seen discounts of up to 60% for a month, which is a great deal if you want to go somewhere for a long time or need to.
I mean, sometimes by doing that, you'll pay less for booking more dates, even if you're not going to stay that whole time. It just makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah.
You have more flexibility that way too.
Yeah. So we're going to Guatemala next week, and we have a place booked for a month. And, the price was cheap enough doing it that way that if we want to take a weekend excursion somewhere, we can, and we don't have to feel guilty about having another place booked while we have this place booked. So my third tip is to book early or book late. Both can work to your advantage. If you're going to a popular place, or during high season, you might want to look at booking up to 6 months or so in advance. The most popular places and the cheapest places will go first. However, if you're like us and you're booking a week, maybe 2 weeks in advance, or sometimes a day in advance, booking late has worked to our advantage multiple times. When you click on a house or a listing, a lot of owners will offer a discount for last minute bookings. And
they'd rather have their place be filled at a discount than not be filled at all.
Yeah.
So
fourth tip, use the filter. When you're putting in your location and your dates and your number of people, there's a button that's a filter button. And it's got filters for everything from the type of house to the amenities you want to how many beds and bedrooms and bathrooms. Our go-to filters are always Wi-Fi. We need that for work. And a washer dryer. With 5 small kids, usually we're staying at least a week. Do you want a normal house? Do you want a condo? Do you want an RV, a tree house? Do you want waterfront? Do you want a pool? Do you want, all these things? So we'll go through the filter. It's often worth it to us to find a place with amenities that we know we'll use. If we have a pool in the backyard, we don't, that's one less thing we need to take the kids to go do. They're entertained in our backyard. Having a yard itself it's huge.
There's a lot to say for that. Just having, being able to enjoy where you're at instead of having to, stay somewhere where you have to leave to go everywhere you want to go.
Yeah. One of our favorite amenities is being waterfront with kayaks.
Yeah, kayaks.
We hadn't kayaked before we started traveling, but once we had our first Airbnb with kayaks on the water, we're kind of hooked now. So that's something we look for as well. 5th tip, ask for discounts. I felt really awkward doing this the first time. I don't want to come off as being cheap or think that I'm trying to rip them off or anything like that. But I also know we have a budget. And so the first time I emailed an owner to ask, we were actually, we were going to Olympic National Park. We had 8 people. We had our family plus my sister. And lodging options are super limited. And we were struggling to find anything. And I found a house that I thought would work for us. It only slept 5 people.
According to Airbnb, it only slept 5 people.
But we knew this space would work for us. We knew our kids are totally fine to sleep on the floor. I have no problem with that. So I emailed him and just said, hey, we've got 5 kids. Is it a problem if there's 8 of us, but 5 of them are kids? And he emailed back right away, and
he was great.
Said, yes, that's totally fine. We'll make sure we have air mattresses and extra bedding. And also, I don't like charging for kids, so here's a discounted offer. And he took $300 off of the rate for our 5-day stay. So that was awesome. And it was an amazing place. So number of people, I will often put less people in our group. I'll put 5 instead of 7, just to see if any other options come up that I know will work for us. And then again, asking for discounts for longer term stays. As I mentioned, we're going to Guatemala next week. And we booked this trip 2 weeks in advance. The plane tickets, everything. So it was very, very last minute, and it's high season there. And so when we went on to get lodging, there was not much.
Nothing.
And it was all very, very expensive. So we found a place that we liked, that we thought would work for us. Actually, I emailed 4 different properties. But this one got right back to us, within 5 minutes. And I had just said, so he was already offering a discount of 42% for a month-long stay.
Good discount.
But the place was still quite a bit more than we would have liked to spend. And so anyway, we just emailed him and asked if he had any other discounts he could offer. And he emailed back within 5 minutes and gave us a special offer of another $1,000 off, which made it really cheap, much cheaper than we were hoping. And so that's what we've got, and
Yeah.
worked out great.
Enough said.
But I've asked for difference multiple times before. I've had a couple of people say no, and that's fine. We didn't book them, but more often than not, they've been more than happy. They've said yes. You know, they're willing to work with us because they want their place filled.
Yeah. It's better than having it empty.
So one more time you can ask for a discount is if a place is new, has no reviews. Reviews are super important to owners. A lot of people don't want to book a place that doesn't have any reviews. So they'll often offer a special discount of, usually it's 20% for like the first 3 bookings. If they don't, I never hesitate. Like if the place from pictures looks good enough, I wouldn't hesitate to ask for a discount for being their first booking. Next tip, don't hesitate to ask questions. If there's anything that's unclear about the place, I know, at least for me, I don't like feeling like I'm bothering them, but they're there for. They're your host. They're there to answer questions and make sure that your potential stay is as great as it can be. So they've always been more than happy to answer any questions we've had about, you know, whether it's childproof or how good is the internet really. Our first host at our first Airbnb here in Mexico, I was asking him some questions, and he actually offered to give us a personal tour of the town, take us to all of his favorite places.
Yeah.
So he did. He happened to be in town and spent probably 2 hours one evening just driving us around, getting us familiar and telling us all the little secrets and showing us exactly where everything was. So that was awesome. Our last tip, read reviews. So you mentioned before, not all of them have reviews, and sometimes it's okay. I mean, there's lots of good places. Everyone needs their first review sometime. And you can, you know, a lot of Airbnb owners will have multiple properties, and you can see if the owner has reviews from other properties. That's helpful to read. But if not, if it's a brand new owner, brand new property, I'm willing to take a chance usually, unless it looks like, nah.
But you get a good sense of kind of what a place really is from the reviews.
Got a lot of pictures.
There's always that one person that has like a nasty negative review, but
yeah. So read reviews. When I book, I read every single review. If there's an issue, it tends to pop up in most of the reviews. So that's a good way to. I feel like I get a better feel for the place reading reviews than just from the listing. So that's always helpful. If you haven't used Airbnb before and find yourself wanting or needing to book something, you can use our referral link below, and that will give you $40 off your first booking. $40 off a trip of $75 or more. So, which is a great deal for you. A great way to get started. So, anyway, I hope that helps, and enjoy.
All right. See you later, everybody.
Okay, third time's the charm.
I think so. I hope so. It is, whether it is or not.
Are we there yet?